And yes, run, as well as learning how to use your counters effectively and how to use your support and a lot more. Let's jump right into that. Okay, so somebody wanted me to use Itachi in one of my videos. So who else but the smoothest man in the game? So just gonna put the Ambu costume on and we're gonna get started. And I will get, doesn't really matter, but for this video I use these two. So the first thing I'm gonna go over is the run tactic. You don't have to run, it's not necessary, but if you want to play smart, or you want to play a certain particular way, or you just simply don't have subs and the person is a lot more experienced than you, so you have to kind of give yourself time to think. Like I said in my earlier videos, if I get opportunity, yes, I do use a throw, but there's a lot of ways to use a throw. So before I get started with what we're going to talk about today, oh, I'm sorry. Now when I use a throw, especially someone like Itachi, you see the gap that he just gave me. So the moment he's actually away from me, it gives me time to charge up chakra if I need to. It gives me time to start building up my subs. Give me time to do stuff like this. Like for instance, I can do this and then switch out if I need to. That type of thing. It gives me opportunity to come at him with something different. Alright, so let me try that one more time. So, for instance, I could start out with pinching him at the same time. Like, for those who don't know too, if I start out with Sasuke's jutsu, come with a fireball and switch, at the moment it hits his guard, this is very specific too, guys. The moment something connects with the guard, if something else hits him at the exact same time, so even this for example, then, I mean, yeah, his guard broke, but even his guard didn't break. It's the fact that if all of this is hitting him at the exact same time, you can't substitute that because everything's connected with the guard. So you can't switch an input with a substitution if your guard is still out. Like if some people didn't know this too, is if you're fighting somebody, okay, and to kind of get out of a combo or whatever, like once you hold your guard, then the first few hits, you can actually not even press your R2 button or whatever you use to block anymore, because the first few hits, the first few hits actually are going to be guarded, and then that's what makes you get an opening to use your tilt. And I'm going to try to show you what side, to give you an example of what I mean by that exactly. There you go. Oh, okay, I figure he's using that one. Come on, sorry. Oh, damn, I combo. Come on, stop using that. Come on. Nah, still playing now. I gotta let you do it. See what I'm saying? You don't even have to hold your guard anymore, simply because after a certain part of the combo is actually just gonna make a gap for you to do it anyway. Now if you mess up and try to use a chakra dash or something, then you're gonna take hits, because at those first 1 or 2 hits and you don't do something immediately, if it's not fast enough, you're gonna start getting a lot of hits on you simply because you dropped your guard. But if you do drop your guard, you gotta drop from something that you know is fast enough, and you gotta know exactly when to do it. And as you've seen, if you don't do it right, you take a combo like I just did. But if you do it wrong, I mean, you know, you take the damage of getting a full combo on you or something. But if you do it right, then like how I got my tilt off just then, it'll work out in your favor. So You know.
I'll take care of it.
Alright, so the run tactic. So for instance, let's say I have no subs, right? And my opponent is actually, let's say his life is exactly where it is right now. And I'm down in the second round with the exact same amount of life. So how do I make a comeback? Well, like I said earlier, like you don't have to do stuff like this. But if you use a tactic like a throw, the gap that he gives you time to give you enough time to charge up your chakra, use a jutsu, use Sasuke, and just give you time to kind of back away. And like I was saying with one of my other videos, you see a lot of people do this. Not saying there's nothing wrong with doing this, but I personally would do it 3 times. One, come on, 1, 2, 3. Not saying I'll sit there and do it like that slowly, but I would do it like this most likely, and just see how they react to it, see what they do. Because if I'm waiting on subs, it's gonna make it hard for them to sit there and gather chakra if these shurikens are hitting them. So, and then I don't try to sit there and spam it or constantly do it either, because my opponent let's say he did charge me, right? I wish I didn't pick Sasuke now thinking about it, but if he did charge me at this moment, then I would have Sasuke already running out there anyway. So when he actually charges my Itachi, then what I would do is a fireball and then switch, because Itachi's in the back, Sasuke's up front. So if he did try to dash me, he would be dashing Itachi, because that was the last person I was before he started his dash. So that's going to conclude this to say, what I'm going to do is put him on dash so you can see it for yourself. There it is. Alright, cool. He's far enough from me now. I think it hit, so come on. There we go. And you see how I avoided that? Necessarily it would be like that. Come on. And he's gonna dash. Come on, you stupid duck. But anyway, even with him dashing me, it gives me time to do stuff like this too. And you see how I can switch back and forth too. But you always want to take advantage of knowing how to switch back as easily. See what I'm saying? Stuff like that works. So if you need the run tactic, then you have it. So if you need to switch your support or something, then that's what it gives you, something to work with. Because if he does dash me, Tachi's gonna hit him. If he dashes at the wrong time, because my old support, which let's say he did dash at this moment, he get fireball. But then at the same time, you don't have to depend on just switching to do it. You can just do it normally, like L2, R2, and then your support will come out. And everybody that uses a jutsu where they have to be in motion, if you've noticed when I play, that if I use someone like Minato or this Sasuke or whatever, that when a person does dash me, and I, let's say they jump over Sasuke, so while Sasuke is halfway across the map, that gives me time to either stay away, use a fireball, and switch to Sasuke while he's already close to him. So something like, I'm sorry, and then it keeps me able to stay on him, because I gave him a setup, or they wasn't prepared for it. Because you gotta remember, Sasuke has tracking, and then while they're still right there, it keeps me able to keep the pressure on top of them. But as far as playing without subs, you gotta know how to play smart. Now with me, I don't play smart. I normally will go in with or without subs, because I feel like, it doesn't fit my style. Like, and when I actually get close to people and they do have more subs than me, then I actually, while I'm fighting them, I end up gaining more subs back faster, it seems like. Which isn't true, it's just the amount of time that takes for you to get your subs back, and the amount of time it takes me to go in between, attacking them, jumping, waiting, countering, and switching. I end up having my subs back before I know it, because I know how to work with or without subs. And again, if you have your one last sub, no, you don't have to sit there and use it instantly. Like if you and your opponent don't have that big of a gap in life points, if you and your opponent don't have that big of a gap in life, then there's no problem for you to sit there and take a combo. Not saying you always want to, especially if you at the end of the game, but you gotta know when to want to take full damage, well, combo damage all the way or not, because some people yeah, some people will actually do a combo and actually hit it, and yeah, you'll start taking the next set of combo, and then like once you start again, yeah, I might substitute that, because by that time I end up using that substitution. Literally 10 seconds later, my subs will start regaining on their own. Like, it's really about a waiting game if you really want to play with subs to feel safe. And with the run tactic, like I said, if he did dash me, I'll have my Sasuke dash. I'm sorry. I will have my Sasuke go out there, so while he's going towards the new character, which would be Itachi, Sasuke's already halfway across the map. So I can switch to him since he's still in his jutsu state. And while he's focusing on Itachi, I'm over here using Sasuke way over on this side, simply because I switched while he was using his jutsu. So it's like if he does come after me and he actually chased me, you know, Sasuke's right there next to him, or where he was before he dashed. So it helps you get repositioning on your opponent. And again, I know I'm saying this, and it may not be easy for you to understand. So I'm going to play some matches with these exact characters and give you a great example of what I mean. And as we go through these videos, I'm also going to demonstrate a lot of stuff I've been talking about. And since you now know this stuff, once you see me play and you see me demonstrate it, it's gonna start making more sense, and everything will start coming together easier to you. And once you're able to replicate this, it'll get easier to you as well. But anyway, so aside from you having to sit there and do stuff like this, or using like somebody like a runner like Sasuke and switch and do stuff like that, playing without subs, you really have to sit there and think what works best for you. So you don't have to depend on the throw, you don't have to depend on using the person to go out there and give you a little advantage. You can, but you don't have to. If you're playing without subs and they're like really on top of you, that's where counter switch comes from. It's the second best thing next to not, or second best thing to having subs to me, simply because when you counter by yourself, this is your big opening. Once they have to hold that hand sign, I mean, you can get hit by any and everything. So that's why it's always important to counter and switch into it. So that way you have less likely of a chance to get hit. It's the same thing like how I was telling you with the tilt. You start out with one, but switch. You never want to hold the same thing too long. Now if you feel like you want to, then that's fine. But if they substitute and you sitting here like this, and let's say he was right behind me, he could just start hitting me. But the moment I do this and switch out, his whatever advantage he just had over me is gone. Because like the same thing with Itachi, when he does this right here, until he comes completely together after he starts or in the beginning, he's vulnerable. He can't do anything. He's going to get hit guaranteed. So when I play with Itachi or anybody that has those gaps in the tilt, which everybody does, I will start out with one and switch. So that way, whatever advantage he had to get me, he doesn't have it. And it's going to make it a lot harder for him to actually hit me as easily or get a combo or guard break or something over me. And also when it comes to using the whole counter effectively, like I was telling you guys yesterday, when you turn blue, that's the initial sign that most players use to know, okay, I need to counter. But you don't want to always depend on that, because like I was telling you too, it could be a fake. And then you messed up because you counter and you're getting hit because you suffer for it. It's all about knowing when to predict what's going to happen. And that is not always easy, because nobody in this game can perfectly predict everything that you're going to do. Most of the reasons why people say that somebody else is better than them or that they're good is because it's not necessarily saying that they just know when to do what, or they just practice, like not just saying combos particularly, but they just know when to counter. They know when to switch to support. And that just comes with you constantly practicing the stuff that either I'm telling you or stuff that you see from your opponents. And so the number one thing a lot of people do, and I do it myself, I do it a lot and I suffer for it. So when I actually play, let me take them off guard for a second. About the whole counter dashing thing. So like I was telling you,
you sadist.
Huh? I'm saddest. Yes, I am. I'm the saddest person you will ever meet. There it is. Don't hit me, don't hit me. Alright. Alright, stop being your come on now. Come after me. Come on now. And this. Alright, that right there, that counter dash, most people that actually play this game realize that a defensive thing that they, then take them off computer. Once they actually do the counter dash, then they end up countering, because once you're in the air and you come down on them, people know after they do their little dash and they have to actually, let me see if I can get enough space to do it. I'm still hitting them. There it is. When they actually have to make that initial stop before they actually reach the person, or even they don't reach them but just have to stop where that person was at that moment, then most people counter dash them. But if you realize
LMFAO just stopped by to drop a like bro and some love. Just ended my 4-hour stream, so in going to sleep. Keep up the hard work, man.
I really appreciate it. And you have a good rest, man. I already know this is one up, man, obviously. I've been watching your streams. I didn't say anything, but I have been watching them. Because I was getting my own stuff together. But thank you so much, man. But, so when people mostly play this, the moment that person stops their initial dash from where you were and they come down and counter dash you, like I said, unless they have an air jutsu or use their support, most of the time, the minute somebody, you know, jumps above you and they actually catch you with a counter dash, that's the time to counter. Like, if you're fighting somebody and they jump over that and counter dash you from the air, then you already know what to expect. Like, if a person counter dashes you the first time, then you know that they're going to keep doing it every time they get an opportunity. So with that given opportunity that
I appreciate it, man. Anyone who comes in here, like the video, y'all. I'd him out, LOL.
But threw me off for a second. Alright, I'm sorry. So when the initial person comes down, actually after the first counter dash, you know they're gonna keep doing it, and a lot of people in this game would do that, guaranteed. And it's a habit of any and every person that plays this, especially competitively. When they do counter dash you, like I said, after the first time, you will be aware. So when you do dash them the second time and you miss them on the ground, and they're already above you in the air, you know to go ahead and get ready to counter, simply because they're going to be predictable and they're going to jump down on you. Now, a lot of people would do that. That's guaranteed. But those who actually work around that, doing that as frequently, would just do something like this. And that would catch you off guard. Or someone would just jump down and then do this until you do counter. And again, as long as you make yourself as unpredictable as possible, it's a lot less likely that you'll be hit by a lot of jutsus and a lot of different combos and stuff, because you're making yourself like, a lot of people gonna tell you you're gonna start playing weird because they can't predict it. Like when you do stuff out the way, like because a lot of people tell me I started playing weird. Like if you do something like, and then you know, like they be like, wow, he's playing so weird, or you don't finish a combo all the way, like you just do a few hits and do something else out the way like that, then it makes it like, wow, I don't know what to expect out of him. So it's harder to counter you. It's harder to know when to do ultimate on you because they don't know what to expect, and they make them scared to actually dash you because they don't know if you're gonna counter, if you're gonna use a jutsu or use a throw. They don't know what to expect, and that's really, in this game, that's really what you want. You want to play in a way that nobody's gonna sit there and be able to be like, well, he's gonna pick these two characters and do this. Like he's gonna sit there and start out with Itachi and then do a tilt and then be ready to block. Like, you know, you don't want to be predictable. You want to always mix it up. So if I did start out with this, I'll switch with him. I'm sorry. And then, you know, you just want to do a lot of mixing and matching. It ain't always about doing anything particular. You just want to throw it off. But going back to not having subs and stuff though, and this is something, again, I practice in free battle. You always want to make sure that you have your computer, your opponent, whatever, have them on and put them on chakra dash. You could put a charged chakra dash because it takes a second longer, but it gives you more time to prep and get ready. If you really want a good beginner start, I would do that, even though it's a faster dash, but it takes them longer to actually charge it all the way up before they dash you. so it gives you time to prep yourself and know when to expect it. But a regular chakra dash, it's a bit slower, but it helps your reaction time a little bit faster, if that makes sense. So that's how I got it. Like, once I see them turn blue, I know to react to it. And see, like, it took me a minute because it's like, dang, how do you touch people? And it gets easier. And he's gonna hit me with that, so I'm just gonna turn him back off. Oh, there it is. But yeah, counter switching is very effective, and you don't always have to depend on using a combo. Sometimes I would counter into a throw. I would counter into you can't counter into ultimate, so people who are watching, please don't try that, because I've tried and it does not work. Combos work, throws work. Jutsus, it varies, and to be honest, this is something else nobody knows, that, well, not too many people know. It's weird, and I still haven't actually perfected it. But when it comes to Minato and Naruto's Rasengan, you can't exactly counter it, but it's like it's some type of glitch or something where you counter, but it's like they kind of run past you. I think you can only do it really at the beginning of it, and please don't try it, because you're gonna be like, well, the assassin guy told me to do it, and I'm like, no. But it's like in the beginning, before they actually launch it, you can do it, but it's a certain way you got to do it. And I think I have a video on it already saved. I just have to look back at my files. But actually, yeah, I would just say that and show you in the video, because it's really weird, but it is very possible to happen. So hopefully I have it to show you guys. But anyway, so for counter switching, if you don't have subs, practice that. And the runaway tactic. The runaway tactic is just like I was saying not earlier, but yesterday. Oh, no. There it is. Alright, the running tactic was like I was saying yesterday about how you do stuff like that. Let's see. Oh, what's the other? Oh, I remember now. Gotta get away from him just a little bit. Stay away from me now. Let me do something there. Thank you. I'm just gonna make him do it the right way. And like I was saying about the whole there it is, stuff like that. Now, of course you can attack, but again, you don't have subs, so that's not the best idea, especially if they do. Now I'm just gonna make them do it. And you don't have to be around them. Like, you see what I'm doing? You take advantage of knowing how to stop your movements completely. You actually, yeah, it goes back to the whole bunny thing. Those slight jumps gets you around a lot. Like, I'm not even gonna be doing nothing special now. I'm just gonna do the bunny jump, and he can't hit me. It's crazy. And it also goes to doing stuff like that too, especially if you're in there. Like, you can just avoid him by doing the little sway. I'm sorry. The little sway. It works for all that stuff. Again, you don't have to do this. Is fine if you just do this, but knowing how to side step into helps you. Again, if you don't have subs, please don't do that, because if your opponent does not have subs with you, then it's fine. But if you the one who don't have subs, you do stuff like this. And don't forget, if you have like an air support, I would do something like that. Like, simply because when it comes to Itachi, Naruto and stuff, like, if you know when to aim them, because you see it as Itachi, he comes at an angle with his fireball. So if I'm right over him, it doesn't always work. See? So you gotta know like what positioning. Like with Naruto, people would do this and then Naruto would swoop right down. As opposed to Itachi and Sasuke with the different fireballs, you expect different results because of the angle that they're in. Or, like I said, when you have a running or a person who's a jutsu where it's in motion, then you trying to get away from them, especially if they got good tracking, you can do this. And you see what I'm saying? It goes like what I was just saying earlier about how he dashed at Itachi, and then, you know, I end up switching to Sasuke. And it's just a tactic you can use until you get your chance to get subs back. And see, you don't see stuff like that, and then when they do actually fall, it gives you opportunity. Now, something that a lot of people don't notice too, I'm just gonna make up and see if this happens where I want it to. So let's say for some reason somehow I knock them down, right? So when people get up, they will do that. I don't know why, and it's very common with S3 Kakashi, Minato, and I think that's really it. Or no, and the other Kakashi with the faster lightning blade. For some reason, when people get knocked down, they see it as an opportunity to use the jutsu, come up. And so the first thing they do when they actually rise up, they rise up with a dash, because you sitting here gathering chakra like, okay, I hit them with the down combo, so they're underground. So the moment they get back up, they already dashed you, hitting you with a combo because you wasn't ready for it, because you spent time in front of their face charging chakra. Now when I charge chakra, I want to be at a distance where I can kind of see what's going to happen. Like if they turn blue, I can get ready quicker. Like I need a certain gap, because if you are too close like this, you know, it's harder to catch, because you don't have, it's so much of a little space that you have right here that by the time you actually dash, you messed up like that. As opposed to giving yourself some breathing space to get chakra, because once you see this, or once you see a person come out, you can get ready, versus being too close to them and you can't get yourself prepped enough to know what to do or how to handle it. That's why if I'm gonna gather chakra, like I would usually taught you, to get them away from me to get chakra, or to get time to get subs or something, or to be at least at a comfortable enough distance for me to know what I need to do, whether it's bunny hopping, sidestepping, or you know, whatever. So again, you always want to make sure you give yourself distance with or without subs to see, okay, how you need to approach it, or simply like give yourself no space, especially if you don't have no chakra. Like that's the number one thing a lot of people end up losing to, not having chakra. So they don't know how to get close to their opponent if they're that far and they don't have chakra, because their opponent is always on them. Like they don't give them a lot of time to do nothing. So you always want to give yourself a distance. So if your opponent does dash you, you can use your support, or you can switch out like it that way. While Sasuke is still fighting him, for example, let's say he is sitting there, the time that takes for Sasuke with him being a tracking type of jutsu, it gives me time to get enough chakra to either dash or back away further until I can get more, or to use this and give me the same opportunity. And that's why when I start a fight, I always do that. Like I start out with this. If he sits there and blocks, then I know with that piercing damage, when I really need him to hit it, he's gonna hit it, and I'm gonna win the game, simply because they either didn't think about it, or they were just so focused on still surviving that they forget about the chip damage. And at the same time, it gives you opportunity to do, you know, get chakra, to switch your support out, do whatever you feel like you need to do that's gonna work out for you. And a lot of times when I play, I've made huge comebacks simply because like I had to reevaluate the situation. Like I told you, a lot of people would change their playstyle on you in the middle of a game, and you was like, he was just playing like real, like he was just on top of me the whole time, like he doing all kind of stuff, and then you know he just changed up and started doing like stuff like this. Like people would do that. Like it's crazy. But the thing about it too, though, you have to know when to actually go in and stay back. You gotta know how to like change it up on them, because as long as you're playing a certain type of way, you're gonna always give your opponent the advantage, simply because you're playing too predictable, you're playing too basic. And again, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Like I said, you don't even have to switch when you play this game either. It's just something that, it's just another gimmick to help people out. But you know, you really want to know how to maneuver around people. Like if you know how to get the basics of knowing how to move, counter, and fake your opponent out, you're always going to get like a lot of good wins, or a lot of easy wins to you, simply because you're always keeping your opponent guessing. You always know what move you need to make next, or you always give yourself enough space to think about it. And I know with 99 counts that it's hard to really sit there and be like, well, how can I sit there and improve my gaming if I'm on a time limit? And that's the thing, you don't want to pay attention to time. The longer you pay attention to time, you're going to start getting reckless, and you're going to start doing stuff that you normally don't do, simply because, you know, I only got 13 counts to, you know, get these last few hits in. And well, that one dash that you probably shouldn't have did will be the end game for you, simply because when you do that last dash, use that ultimate and miss it, or do that combo, or do that combo, and you do something like this, that could have been time you could have won, but you messed up because you were paying too much attention to time. So to everybody that's watching this, never really pay attention to time. Always focus on just you and how to get close to your opponent, or how to get that win that you really feel like you can get. Because a lot of times people will lose because they underestimate their opponents too. They'll think somebody isn't good and they can beat them easily, but then they start slacking and they slip up, like they do something and mess up. And once you mess up, and then you give them that opportunity, because that last hit, that last thing you try to do, and you end up trying to be flashy, or you end up trying to beat them with a real nice combo or something, and it works against you and you lose to somebody that you know you can beat, you know you could two-stock. So never play cocky, never really sit there and look at time. You really just want to focus on what you're doing and reading your opponent. If you can do those things and don't play predictable, you will be fine, I promise you. That's why a lot of these people now that play this have 100% win ratio, 85%, 90%, because they really they're patient players. They're people who not saying they're not aggressive, but they know when to do what. You don't just sit there and just haphazardly do things. But anyway, and now we're going to get to the parts where we're going to use another tactic for staying away from your opponent till you can get subs or do something differently. So it goes back to what we was talking about yesterday, and how I would do something like that. See how he missed me? Because I dashed him while he was in Sasuke, and then see how it's giving me time away from him. Like, I call it like a torpedo method. Like, because like the first instance, like I will waste it too though. Like if I'm fighting somebody and they're using a jutsu, and if I really feel like I'm okay with it, like it doesn't bother me if I get who I really want to use next, I will let them take the jutsu, get hit by the dash or whatever, and then I have my other person way back here still. So the person who took the jutsu is like, they're gonna be the person that's dashed out there. So if Minato, Sasuke, whoever I'm using, and they go, or they're the first person to go out, they're gonna take the hit first. So my other person just sitting back here, not having to waste a guard on something that could be avoided, especially with a good tracking person, or they're trying to dash you and use a jutsu at the same time. Because if they do use a jutsu and dash you, well, like I was showing you earlier, the other support, there's like a missile that's going towards them at the same time. They're going to cancel each other out, and all you got to do is worry about avoiding the jutsu. So, because I know y'all seen people do stuff like this, and then do stuff like that where they come at you all at the same time, or do some type of tactic like that, so they don't have to worry about getting countered. But if your first person dashes with theirs, then it helps you out. And then it also helps to when they're dashing too, to avoid hits, because once you put in whatever input you're about to put in, whether it's the jutsu, a dash, I'm sorry, then it's going to help you out, because you're actually giving yourself an opportunity to either stay away from them to get you what you need to do, or just it's really going to keep you from having to see every little thing. Because if you guard too much, then y'all know what happens, right? Stuff like that. So the less amount of times you have to sit there and guard with whatever hits you, then the better you are at surviving at the end of the game. Because a lot of people end up losing too because the guard breaks. Not saying they hit them with this, but because the guard breaks from taking too many damages to their defense. Like, you see how it turns blue and then it's orange now, and then it goes from orange and to red, and then from red to broken. You really want to try to avoid that. Now the thing about it too, even though it's blue now, like if you give it time, like how, okay, so it's orange. Matter of fact, I take them to red. There it is. And then you give it enough time, like long as, again, this goes with not having subs and stuff too. You give enough time, and let me see, that should be about good. Oh, nope, not yet. You give enough time, your guard, I can't really say, I don't even know what you would call it, but your initial defense, like blocking like that, will go back to blue. And that, I don't know how long it takes actually, but it does go back. Or either that, or that's where your support will come in from. If your guard is broken, if you know when the person's gonna cancel out a combo, like this is happening to me too. So I'm using Sasuke. Let's say he has Itachi. So at that moment that he's throwing it there, because of the angle, like I was telling you earlier with your support. Itachi would hit me because even though he's, you know, in the air, you can still use the support. In this moment, you can still use the support. And that's the time that Itachi, Naruto, Sasuke could, you know, be really useful support. And it's not always about when you're standing on your feet that you want to use your support, but at those times of in between certain combos or certain tilts, or if they use a combo that requires them to be in the air and you got a support that has a jutsu in the air, then it's going to help you out, because even though you're in the air falling down, well, if you have an air support like Pain or Nagato or something, it's going to bounce them back and it's going to help you out. Or if you have Naruto, if you have Itachi, like again Sasuke or 10-10 or something, it's going to help you out because it's falling down towards them also. So they can't continue their combo or they can't start the ultimate because you hit them with a jutsu and it's going to throw them off. And that'll win the game too, surprisingly or not. So, and then it helps in combos too. So if you're hitting somebody and then they know when to do it right, then they're taking like especially Sasuke and Jiraiya and parts Naruto want to use a jutsu. So if you're in the middle of something and they bring out that support at the right time, whether it's the end of a combo or somewhere in the middle, even though I'm Itachi and I can hit both him and his Naruto at the same time, like there are certain parts of a combo where it doesn't hit you and your support, it just hits strictly you. And when it hits strictly you, your support can come in and mess up your whole combo because they have good tracking or they are like super close to you to where it affects you even though you're not hitting them at that moment. It'll mess you up because not every character has a wide range of hit. Like, I actually go back for this one so I can give you some examples, because Madara does it. Yeah, definitely Madara does it. And I go with this Sasuke. And for the record, when I play this game, the location I always go to, this is even when I'm practicing this game and every Storm game I've ever played, this place I'm going to right now will always be my main place to go to in every tutorial and every game I play, because I'm used to it. This is the place I feel like was a good little training area, you know. So this area is what I always play in. But anyway, so someone like Madara, his first hit only focuses on you. But his other hits, you see how they're swinging from, you know, like out to in, like with his Susanoo, is gonna hit everything. Versus Sasuke, who's only focusing on Naruto. Now some of his swipes are from left to right, so it's gonna hit your support because you know your support is gonna show up on your left or right side. And certain people will hit you and your support, so you can't use them at that time. But for certain people, especially like I said, when it comes to those infinites or certain parts of combos, then that at those exact moments is when they're only focused on, when those combos are only focused on you and not you and your support. And at those moments, that's when using that support at that right time is going to help you. And again, I know I'm telling you this and you can't really see it, but actually I'm gonna do a game or a few games tonight too on a different stream and show you what I mean. I'm just telling you guys this now, so when I do play again, it's gonna be easier to notice because you realize what I'm talking about versus me just playing and you not understanding nothing. But anyway, and okay, so went over the run tactic, like just knowing how to back away from your opponent, to avoid your opponent in all kind of ways, and you know, by doing stuff like that and stuff. Learn about the counter and the counter switching and what to look for. When it comes to most dashes, like again, it's super specific people. But if you and your opponent are about equal, then especially again that towards the end of a game, people get really desperate, especially when they do look at time. This is something I'm gonna add to this too. Once it gets close to the end of the game, a lot of people really start getting careless. Like, even though I tell you about this part right here, it gets to the end of the game, people really don't do that as frequently, and it's crazy. It doesn't matter how good they are because they get under pressure, especially if you're winning. That's why you see people towards the end of a game, first game, second game, they use Awakening. Well, why do you use Awakening? Maybe because it's fun, but if you're competitive or you really, you know, trying to get that win, then use whatever strategy you can think of. So you will go to Awakening because it gives you the advantage over your opponent. Not necessarily. You don't need awakening to win a game. You don't. I don't even use it. Not saying I can't, but you really don't need it necessarily, because as long as you know what you're doing, you don't have to worry about it. And then I'm telling you this because it doesn't matter how big the character is or how small. I'm gonna beat every character and every awakening possible. Now there's some that's super annoying and actually quite difficult, but if you know what you're doing, it's not as bad as it seems. But anyway, because, and then this is another thing too, while we're talking about awakening. Let me see if I can get him to do it. I don't think I can. Actually, no, I can. And doesn't matter. I'll take it. Nope. Come on, man. There you go. Alright. There you go. So, and another thing I noticed too is when you play this now, even though shurikens clearly don't do nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. Because that's not gonna help if he's blocking the whole thing. Alright. Now even though, yeah, this don't do nothing to him, but it does help. Like if they have a small awakening, big awakenings we're gonna get to in a second, but small awakenings, if you use not paper bomb, wow, that did not last as long as I wanted it to. If it's a big awakening, and let me get that back, because that was very it just made me so sad. I really don't want to go down it either. I really don't. So I'm just going to try to explain it for now. But a big awakening, one of the biggest weaknesses to it is that you know it's big, and when you counter a big awakening, it only works for like literally half a second. But with the big awakenings, the double dash is a lot easier, because since they're so big, their hits are a little bit slower, and that goes for all the big awakenings. So that's where this will come in from, you know, because since they're so big, it's going to end up creating a gap, whether it actually does hit the first character or not. And since you're smaller, it's going to be faster. And I will show this too also. I'm pretty sure I can find people that's going to awaken on me anyway. But for the most part, it's going to help. Like, you don't want to depend on a counter with a big awakening, because it's really not going to help you, not much. But this does. Or no, like, again, this is where you want to use your support the most too. Use a jutsu. Hey, how's it going? But that's where you really want to use your jutsu, or use a jutsu, stop, and then hit them from, you know, different angle. Like even though they're big, you can still break the awakening, or you can still damage it in some form or fashion until the guard is broken. Because even though they're big, their first thing they want to do is sit there and stay on top of you, keep bashing you, you know, until your guard breaks, and then they stay on you. Or it doesn't matter if you're in the air or on the ground, they're just going to keep doing it. And that's why a lot of times, especially while you're beginning to learn this stuff, I would always want to use the air support if my opponent does awaken or not, just simply because if I am in the air and they are attacking me, I need something to kind of give me some space, a gap away from them. And when I do get the gap, then I'm able to do stuff like, I'm sorry, come on now, do stuff like that, because it gives me space away from them, and then I can sidestep them. And if I do, it gives me a gap to do stuff, and it goes back what I was saying earlier. Oh no, I'm sorry. Just a modder, to know how to stop and then hit them from there, because you gave yourself cover and because you didn't dash all the way. But because you in the middle of a jutsu, you dashed and stopped, you're right here and you're able to get that full combo in on them. But when it comes to a small awakening, these help. Like, let me try actually. I'm gonna go back so I can do this one. Gotta give you a good example. I can't just tell you and expect you to just know what I'm talking about. So, I know who has stuff that I need. Which one was it? I'm just gonna use you and just hope. And as another safety measure, we're gonna use. Sasuke's always got paper bombs. I don't know why they give them that. Neji has it too. So hopefully I'm gonna give me what I need. And you know what? Yeah. Your awakening small. Yeah, but no. You know what? Because I see these two a lot, I'm just gonna pick them. And then go to my favorite place to practice. I mean, okay, let's make you do it, hopefully. Turn you on. There you go. You know just why I like punching. No homo. Don't you start with me. Alright, I don't got a lot. Oh, don't guard. I got a little time left to do this. Take it off. So, this, you see how he's backing him away? Watch this one. See? You can do that because it's just like doing this in the stadium. Because it forces them back. It's like when I was telling you about, oh, I'm sorry. Just when I was telling you about doing that, it's the same thing. And you're going to turn off awakening on your own. There you go. Yeah, with those small awakenings, any small awakening, these tags, like how's that when he's an awakening, because it doesn't affect him, but it does not mean you can't use that to your advantage. Like I would use it in a strike or use it switch. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, there it is, and then switch and then just start attacking. So start with one. Oh, wow, that was hard. There you go, and then start hitting them with the other character. And then yeah, I mean, I don't know, I can still do that too, but especially if they're strong, then I will probably do that a little bit more because the goal of when you're playing somebody in their awakening is to either, if you can't defeat it, I'll run the timeout on it until they go back to normal where I can get the advantage and win. And again, it's all about knowing, like, if you can fight it, then I mean, let them go awakening. But if you can't fight it, then I'll do this so they don't get a chance. Use my support to get close or something, or just throw them off. Like if they're trying to go awakening, you know they are because they can't win. Doing this is okay, this tactic right here, because they never get the opportunity to do it. But if they use pain or something until they able to, you know, get their chakra all the way up to do it, then that's where these tags will come in handy. A lot of people don't know that. Some people do. I don't really see a lot of people do it. But those tags, from the moment you throw it and dash in, because it's gonna force them to kind of bounce back from it because they're unaffected, and that's your opportunity to attack them. Because I mean, they can't do anything about it. I mean, they can't sub it because I mean it doesn't affect them, so that leaves them open. Now if they block it, then nothing happens. But if you catch them off guard, because you are gonna catch them off guard because they think they got the advantage now, those will help. What else is there? Running. Playing defensively. Oh yeah, and using your support in different ways. And again, you always gonna have somebody that's kind of stationary and then somebody who's not. Like what I would do, like especially with Masked Man, I'd do something like this. And then while he's hit by the shuriken or something and he flinches, I do that, or to be more specific. And then something like this, you know. Because again, as long as you have somebody in motion and somebody who's not, and you do stuff like that, you know, they're not gonna be ready for it because you're hitting them with the shuriken of the last person and you switching back because, like, I'm just gonna show you. So I use the jutsu, I switch, use the shuriken, and since he was still in his jutsu state, I was able to switch back to the Masked Man because he was still partially doing his jutsu until I switched back to him. But you can't mess it up. You can't wait till he's gone. You can't switch back to that moment. So, and then you're gonna be right where you are now. So it's gonna throw you off. So it's really about doing something, and then, you know, going back, stuff like that. And it's always a quick motion. So you do one, switch back, etc. And that's really all a jutsu switch is. You just use them from one, use the jutsu again, or go back or whatever. And what really helps is the more you do this, the better you'll get at the whole misdirection thing. Because even though I'm Neji now, I could do this switch. Oh, I'm sorry. It goes back. Oh, come on now. It'll go back to. Wow, I can't do it right now. It'll go back to using something at an angle. And you see how he went off screen after I did it? Oh, I'm sorry. And that's where the whole misdirection comes from, because I took Massman off screen, so that way when he does get hit by that, they don't catch it all the time because it's not on screen. So when that jutsu, especially if it's a tracking jutsu, it's gonna hit them a lot of the times because they don't see it, it follows them, and it leaves them defenseless because they're not ready for it because they don't see it. So between that and taking advantage of switching to and from, it gives you an advantage to start hitting them again, because the last person shuriken will just be making contact when you actually do switch back to your last character, if that makes sense. But I'm way over my 20 minutes. But that's pretty much it as far as this video is concerned, about just playing defensively and knowing when to switch your character, well, using your character in various ways, especially like I said with the tilt, to go from one and get ready, or well, not even block, but and then jump. Like I would jump first, like if this doesn't work, because it's like it takes a little second longer to guard, and if you can't guard, then I jump, because most stuff in this game can be avoided by that. Just doing that, it's crazy. Like most of the stuff in the game, you just do this and you're done. But yeah, everybody with a tilt or something has a gap, so don't forget you want to switch. And if they're using a jutsu and you don't feel like blocking, or you trying to keep yourself from wasting your shield with your guarding shield on them, then I would do something like that, and that helps with canceling out their dash. That helps with not having to take a jutsu if it has good tracking, and it makes it easier for you. And then just different stuff like as a matter of fact, you know, so you can mix it in any kind of way you want to do it, or just using a jutsu, hit them, and then, you know, that gives you time, because like I said, they'll be running after me now, and then when I do this, they'll be running after Neji, and well, he's already in motion, he's already on the other side where he's following Neji over here, so it's gonna help because he's gonna be way on the other side of the map, and I'm over here relaxing, getting my chakra back. But as far as teaching goes, this is it for today as far as teaching. But I'm gonna do another stream, and literally like another minute or two from now, I'm gonna start another one back up. Try to pay attention, try to notice it, and if the stuff that you do notice, or if it does help, put it in the comments, in my comments. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it helps. Let me know about your progress. Let me know if I'm doing good with this type of stuff, if I'm doing bad, because I can change it. I can teach in all kind of ways. So just keep me posted, let me know, and thank you for watching.